Most freelancers don't fail because of a lack of talent. They fail because they don't know how to price themselves, how to negotiate, and how to communicate their values. Hi guys, I'm Rachel and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be breaking down exactly how to scale as a freelancer in 2025 with better pricing strategies, smarter negotiations, and positioning yourself as a business-focused problem solver. So I wrote a couple of stuff since this has been on demand. A lot of you have asked for me to talk more about pricing and scaling as a freelancer. So the first section is understanding levels. At each stage of our journey, we have different levels that we're at to move to the next. So the first is the beginner stage. If you're someone who's just starting out, the first thing you should do is focus on building trust and credibility. Now, this stage, you have to focus on getting more projects, like more portfolio pieces. Here, you should charge entry-level rate. I see a lot of things online. People say, oh, you shouldn't even do free stuff, or you should charge probably for a landing page, you start charging like $1,500, like $1,500. No, I don't agree. I don't totally agree to everything. So there are stages to this thing. As an entry level, what you need are portfolio pieces, credibility. You need to enhance your visibility, show that you've done some work. At least you've started and you have experience. So you should start with charging entry level rates, but don't underprice to the point that you reject or you start to reject accepting this project, or you don't like the project anymore. So that's it. And then the next is show transparency. Here you should outline exactly what the client is paying you for. In this stage, you outline your deliverables, your time frame, your vision. As I said, you're just starting out, so you need things in detail to have a clear understanding for you and the client, so you know both what you're expecting at the end of this project. The key goal for this level is to get testimonials and portfolio pieces, because you're coming out to the world saying this is what you're doing. So starting out, you need to have enough projects. It doesn't have to be the best. As I said, it's just starting out. So that's why you charge entry-level rates, because at this point you don't really know much about the business side of design, like return on investment. So you just focus on what you can deliver. So now we're at the intermediate stage here. So this is for those of us that have been in this for like 1 to 3 years in, and now by this time you've got proof of work. You've done some work in the past. So now you shift your pricing from pricing by time to pricing by value. At this stage, start packaging your services. Some of us do only web design. Like me, for example, my experience, since I do just website design for a client, a particular client that came, I packaged it with branding. I'm not a brand designer, but I collaborated with a brand designer, and together we worked on that project and delivered to the client. So you should think about that, packaging your services. Don't just offer one. Try to have retainer projects as well. And then the next thing is anchor your pricing. Here you show different tiers like basic, standard, and premium. Because sometimes some clients will come to you and you give them that particular rate or that particular charge, and they'll be like, oh, that they can't afford this. It's probably too high for them. So that's why you give them 3 different pricing tiers so they can pick which is best for them and the business. So the clients can see your value level there. And now the key goal here is to position yourself as a specialist, not a generalist. As I said, this is for those of us that have 1 to 3 years. So by now, you should know, okay, the place you want to specialize in, the area, the niche. It doesn't have to be too niched down, but at the same time, you're not just everywhere. You have where you're specializing on, where you want to be an expert in. That's the goal. And now the advanced stage here is for high-level freelancers, people that have a ton of years to the experience. Now, in this stage, clients no longer pay for your hours. They pay for the outcomes that you give to the business. So pricing here is tied to business impact. This is where we think about return on investment, conversions, retentions, thinking of bounce rate, revenue growth. This is where everything comes in. For an example, now instead of saying you charge $2,000 for a landing page, you can say you charge $2,000 for a landing page that increase conversions, like increase the client's business conversion by 15%, 20%, 30%. The key goal here is to sell transformations, not just tasks. Because clients don't want that. At this point, you got years of experience to know what works and what doesn't. So you charge based on the outcome that you're bringing for the business. Number 2, negotiation in 2025. Here's what works now. So 2022 mindset was outdated. Then they'll just tell us, be confident and just state your price. But now, It doesn't work like that. And guess why? Because clients are more informed now. They're more cautious. They're more ROI driven. Most clients want the business impacts. They don't just want pretty UIs or saying, oh, this looks good, this color is fine. That's not all they want. They want to see impact in their business, to know that what you're doing works. So that's why the strategies that work now is first active listening. Before pitching, let the client explain the problem and listen to them. The best thing to do in this stage is repeat what they say, paraphrase, for example. It shows that you understand a problem and they'll be satisfied when you're listening. And the next thing is ask the right questions. What does success look like for you? That's you asking the client. And what happens if the problem isn't solved? So you should also ask problems and questions from the business standpoint, so the client understand that you're also thinking about their business. And now frame your solution in their language. Don't just say, I will design your site, for example. You can say, okay, I will design your site to reduce the bounce rates and help you close more leads. So you should state the solution you are bringing from the problem they mentioned. And then the next thing is you should negotiate on scope, not on the price itself. So if your client says that's too high, don't just say, oh, then we can, for example, the client says you charge $5,000 and then kind of like, oh, that's above my budget. Don't just say, okay, can we do 3,000 or can we do 4,000? Rather, instead of discounting, adjust your deliverables, right? So an example I would give is, I go up to this client, we're discussing, we already have our sales call, discovery call, now we're talking about the budgets, the pricing, what I should charge. And I say, okay, I'll do that for 7,000. And he says, 7,000 is too high at the moment. Can we do 5? I'll say, okay, we can do 5, but we won't have a motion, an animation of product delivery. Probably there'll be no prototyping to your app. So I would adjust the things I'm delivering, take out some things and say, okay, for that price, this is what works. That helps a lot, and trust me, clients trust you when you say things like that. And at the end of the day, they're sometimes painful. I've had experiences like that at the end of the day, clients want the complete package, trust me. And at the end of the day, they'll try to work with you to get to the end of that. So our third point is communicating with confidence. I can't overstate this. I can't overemphasize what it means to talk with confidence. Confidence wins a lot of times. So tone matters than words a lot of times. But when it comes to discussing with clients, even if it's an audio call or it's a video call, your tone matters. Don't sound apologetic when sharing your price. No. Stay calm and confident. Look them in the eye and say, okay, this is what you charge. Smile a little. This is what you charge. Now, pause after stating your price. For example, I say, okay, I'll do this for $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. I'll be quiet. Because silence does work for you sometimes. Most clients respect confidence to show that you are confident in the discussion. And now your body language matters, especially when it's a video call. It matters a lot. You should sit upright, you should smile a little, and keep eye contact to your clients. This shows that you are ready to tackle what they brought to you and you can handle what they're giving you. Now use authority cues. Here, reference past results, what you've achieved on previous projects. For example, a client comes and says, I want me to do this beauty app for them. I'll say, oh, I did something similar and I helped the client increase their sign-up rate by 20%. So mention past results. Now, this solidifies your contract with the client because they know that, okay, you're talking more about experience and more about outcome rather than your skill. And number 4, pitching to clients. Now, this is a 2025 approach. This section, I'm talking about those of us that probably don't like to sit and wait for clients to come to us. Instead, we like to go to them. So when it comes to pitching, the modern pitch now is not about you. It's about them. It's about the business. Old pitch, I would say 22 pages, and I see it sometimes, and there's a lot of designers make mistakes because I still see it now. You come to me and I said, oh, Jane, I'm a designer with 3 years experience. I can build your sites. What's that? A ton of people can build my site. A ton of people have 3 years experience, and a ton of people are named Jane. So what's the difference? So now you have to come to them from a business-focused perspective. As I said, this is 2025. Clients are more cautious and ROI-driven. They understand the impact in their business now, and they understand that we as designers can offer solutions to that. So, for example, you can come and say, oh, I help founders churn or increase conversion rates by 30%, and I do this through a clear, user-focused design. And you can then tell them, this is very important, when you're pitching to a client, mention a problem with their products or with their sites. Don't just come and tell them, oh, you probably solve problem for other clients. No, that's other clients. They have a business they're running. So come to them and tell them, I noticed this is what's wrong with your site, or this is what's wrong with your product. Or you can give an example and say, oh, I noticed this problem with your current sites. The call to action is buried, which might be costing you leads. And that's where I come in. I can fix that. So you see how that sounds. You can't say, oh, so she's telling me her name, telling me her years of experience, and telling me that this is what's currently wrong with my product and this is how to improve it. That sells you all the time. Now, so the framework for this is I wrote down: 1, lead with the client's problem. That's why I said when you're pitching, after the introductions where you mention your name, your experience, or the field you're in, now lead with the client's problem. Tell them why you're there. Tell them the problem you spotted from their product and show that you understand their business goals. As I always tell people online time to time, when you're pitching out to clients, make sure you research. Don't just look at a client's website alone and say, okay, this is the problem you're going to them. Research about the company. Try to understand the business goal, the goal around the company, and then position your work as a bridge to their goal. For example, let's say a client is having a problem retaining users. They already have an ongoing user base, but they're having a problem retaining the users on that platform. So you can come as a bridge. Like I said in one of my past videos, at some point, there's a place where a client wants to be and where they're at the moment. You are the bridge to that. You're the one taking them from where they are at now to where they want to be as a business. Simple as that. And then back it up with at least one example or one result. You can't come to them saying you have experiences and you're not telling them the achievement or the metrics or the impacts from what you've done before. It doesn't make sense. And now you end it with a simple next step, telling them, okay, you can jump on a call, or they can book a call with you at their convenience, or you show them a demo of the products that you've built. So end it with the next step. Don't just leave them hanging. Tell them or direct them, or better still, guide them to what they have to do next. And our last point for today, number 5, here we're talking about outcome-focused pricing. Now you've gotten to this stage where you've got experiences and you've done good work. At this point, at the highest level, your value here is equal to the return on investment you bring to whatever you're working on. Now, at this point, clients don't care if you work 10 hours or 100 hours on their product or on their site. What they care about here is the result. For example, you offer branding services, so you don't just say, that I will design your logo. Instead, here you say you create a brand for the company or for the clients that will attract higher paying clients to them. Remember, it's all about results. And if you're doing a website redesign, for example, here you're talking and saying it's not just visuals, but reducing lower bounce rate or higher signups. And now, if it's UX strategy, you're saying it's not just about the wireframes, but creating smoother user journeys that boost retention. That's what it's about. We should have this thing in mind. And if you're at the beginner stage, I said earlier, train yourself to get to the point where you're an outcome-focused designer, because trust me, that's where the money is. I've tasted it. I know. So remember, clients don't pay for your design. They pay for the results. They pay for the outcome. They pay for the value. Now, let me just share a bit more about me. If you've thought that it's something you can't get to, trust me, you can learn it in a while. It all depends on you. And if you're someone that say, oh, you know nothing about business and design, you can always start now to learn. Last year, by this time, I knew nothing about business and design. I had an idea of learning, but I had no practical tips as to how I went about it. But by November, last year, I made that decision that, okay, I should do something about my life. I should learn more about business and design, not just fancy UIs, not just great UIs, because it's not all about the look. It should also function. And it's not all about functionality. It should also look good. So there should be a balance. So that's why I said, okay, I'd like to learn more about design, let's learn the business in design. And I started that and I told myself, I'm giving you, Rachel, 6 months to change your life completely. I had